I feel like there's almost 100 heroes in the MCU, so let's sit down and tier rank every single one of them. What's going on, guys? I'm Chris, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be tier ranking every single MCU hero, including the heroes from Shang-Chi, as it just hit theaters this weekend, as well as Black Widow and the Marvel TV shows. Before I do that, definitely hit the like button and comment your ranking of the heroes down below, and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos. Without further ado, I'm going to get into my tier ranking. So the tiers I have here are the best of the best, great, good, meh, and bad. Now I'm going to have 59, I think, characters to talk about, so this list is going to be filled out quick. There's probably going to be someone in every single category, and I'm excited to get into it. They're in no particular order, completely randomized, but it does include characters from the newest movies. First up is Sharon Carter, who, of course, was in, you know, The Winter Soldier. She was in Civil War, had more of a prominent role in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. For me, personally, I've never been a crazy big fan of this character, so I'm actually going to put her in meh. I just think that there's a lot underlying with her. She, of course, had that romance with Steve at one point, which feels really weird if you look back at it now, seeing where Steve ends up. But, you know, I want to know where this character's headed, because she has that shady phone call at the end of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Is she a villain? She seems a little bit like on the fence right now, so I think there's plans for her character moving forward. Right now, she's just mad to me. Next up is going to be Shang-Chi, the star of the latest Marvel film. I absolutely love Simu Liu in this role. He's having a complete blast with it, and this character is just one of the coolest, most relatable dudes in the MCU. Honestly, I'm putting Shang-Chi in best of the best. I know that might be a hot take. He is an awesome character who's going to carry the MCU moving forward. There's a lot of new faces on this list in the MCU, and I think a lot of these characters have the potential to just be absolute stars. Shang-Chi is going to be a massive hit around the world, and I can't wait for this movie to be seen by as many people as possible because Simu Liu rocks it. Next, we have Groot, and I have the picture of baby Groot here just because I think that's the best version of Groot. I'm going to put Groot in the good category. Now, this could get some heat. Oh, why isn't he best of the best or great? I think Groot is a fine character. There's a few different iterations of him, baby Groot being the cutest, but adult Groot is my favorite by far. I think that's the most emotional, powerful Groot that we see, especially when he sacrifices himself at the end of the first Guardian and says, "We are Groot." That never fails to kind of make me tear up a little, but teenage Groot is not the move. I hope we go back to full-on adult Groot by the time Thor: Love and Thunder and Guardians 3 roll around, because the character needs a bit of an improvement for me right now. Next is Gamora, who of course we saw die in Infinity War, and now there's another version of Gamora out there from 2014. Don't know that role and how it's going to come in down the road. I'm going to put Gamora in the good category as well. I think that she is a really solid love interest for Peter Quill, but she's way more than that. She's a badass hero who is not afraid to stick it to her sister and her father Thanos, so I really like her as a character. Zoe Saldana crushes it. I don't think she is great just because, again, I would love to see a little bit more to her, and I think this 2014 version would be interesting. But honestly, her death wasn't rushed, but I do wish we got more from her before her death happened. I understand the consequences and the stakes that it had, and it raised that for sure. There'll be a lot of these characters just in the good category. Next is Yondu, who is just a great father figure to Peter Quill. The line where he's like, "He may have been your father, but he ain't your daddy." Great. I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. There's a lot of quotes with this character. I would say Yondu is a great character, honestly, just because he has such an impactful death, and the impact that he leaves on the Guardians, especially Peter Quill, is so felt. I take Yondu over two other core members of the Guardians, and that might be a hot take, but I really love Yondu, and he has a great arc that comes full circle when he ends up sacrificing himself to save Peter in Guardians 2. Next is Red Guardian. I have no idea. This is one of the funniest characters in the Phase 4 of the MCU. It's great to see David Harbour in the role, especially in the MCU, because I love him as Hopper in Stranger Things. I'm going to put Red Guardian in the... if I'm being honest here, I'm a sucker for Red Guardian, and I have the pop right behind me. This could be recency bias. I'm putting Red Guardian in great. Is he probably good? Yes, but I'm putting him in great at this very moment just because I think he's freaking hilarious. I would love to see a Red Guardian prequel show, or even just a Disney Plus show in general, because we got to see David Harbour more in this role. He was having so much fun with it. The family chemistry in that movie is off the charts good, and I just love him in the role. Next up is Mobius, who carries Loki. Mobius is the best character in Loki. I'm here to say that right now. I don't care what anyone says. That's my 2 cents. Mobius, I gotta go right now. It's really hard because I don't know if I want to... He's not best of the best. He's not bad. He's not mad. It's good or great. That's what a lot of these characters come down to. For Mobius, I'm probably going to have to go with good, and I love Mobius. I really do. He's not great because he's removed from a few episodes, and we don't see the full potential with Mobius. Everything we see with Mobius I love, so it's really, really good, but we need to see more of this character. Next is Hulk, and there's so many various iterations of this character, from the Edward Norton version, to the Ruffalo version in Avengers, to Professor Hulk in Endgame. There's just so many variations to the character. He's kind of pretty sporadic right now, and I think he needs a massive rewrite where he is currently. But just because of his influence in the MCU and just Banner's inner conflict, especially in like movies like Age of Ultron and Ragnarok, I'm going to put Hulk in great. He has a long-standing influence on the MCU. He's one of the original 6 Avengers, and despite the fact that Professor Hulk is very questionable in my opinion and a lot of the comedy misses, I still gotta go pretty high with Hulk. Next is gonna be Darcy, who got her time to shine really in WandaVision when she became sort of a fan favorite. Before that, I kind of found her to be this annoying side character in the Thor films. I still gotta go Darcy, meh, right along Sharon Carter. I think Darcy has moments of hilarity, but at the same time, some of her comedy does miss for me, and I think she could be in Love and Thunder alongside Jane, maybe. So next is Sam Wilson's Captain America, aka the best Captain America. I thought about this one for a second. I was like, should I go good, great, or best to the best? And I'm really torn, but to be honest with you guys, look at that suit. It's a thing of beauty. The way that he comes into his own over the course of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, embraces the role of Captain America, gives a powerful speech at the end, and the way we've seen this character develop from Falcon to Captain America, I gotta go best to the best. He is the future Captain America. He is here to stay. Next up is Loki, who is the only character that's going to be on both the hero and villain tier list because I think that he does play both throughout the course of the MCU. In his show, he's more of the hero, so I kind of am basing it off Loki from the TV show and like Ragnarok Loki in a sense. But to be honest with you guys, I've never been the biggest fan of Loki. I think that he is a flip-floppy character. Like I mentioned, he's literally on both the hero and villains tier list. And what they did with him in the Loki show kind of took away the menacing, clever nature of Loki, and they kind of just made him a little soft, to be honest. It's unfortunate. I think that he was a lot more badass in the movies, and in the show, he just isn't the same version of Loki, and it didn't hit with me as much. I'm going to put him in good. I think he's always been a little overhyped as a hero, notably. In the villains tier list, he'll probably be higher, but as a hero, I don't really get on board with it. Loki is a villain in my eyes. Next is Talos, who is in Captain Marvel, of course. Turns out to be Nick Fury in Spider-Man Far From Home. I'm going to put Talos in meh. There's nothing really wrong with Talos as a character. Some of the humor just doesn't land for me, and I think that he's passable. Nothing special about him, though. So next up, we've got Wong, who has some of the best lines in the MCU. Just, a hunk of Hulk-burning fudge is our favorite. And then, of course, he's got a great little role in Shang-Chi as well. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But I'm honestly going to go good with Wong. I think he's, like, the OG supporting character, sidekick character to Doctor Strange, and he's one of the better like side characters in the MCU. I think he's going to have a little bit of a crucial role if you've seen that No Way Home trailer and moving forward in the MCU. Next, we've got Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff, who I'm going to go ahead and put in best of the best. One of the original 6, her movie was a great send-off to her character while introducing new faces to the MCU as well. It should have happened a long time ago, but we got it when we got it, and we have to settle for that. I just love seeing Scarlett Johansson in the role because she crushes it. She has from day one. She finally got her time to shine in the spotlight. It's long overdue. Next is T'Challa, aka Black Panther. Rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. Forever will be missed. Just a true legend. But I remember when I saw Civil War in theaters for the first time. I saw it twice opening day. I was just shocked at how badass this character was. The scene where he's riding in the back of the cop car and Sam and Steve are up front, and then he's talking about how he wants to like find Bucky and kill him. That was so good. The way his arc comes full circle with the conversation he has with Zemo at the end of the movie, chef's kiss. And it's a massive bummer that we won't get to see him moving forward, but the legacy he has will live on forever. Honestly, I think I have to put Black Panther in best of the best. Thinking about the long-standing legacy that he has, it's really unmatched, and Chadwick Boseman will live on in history forever. So next we've got Steve Rogers as Captain America, who I do have to put in best of the best. It's almost like obligatory. I'm not a massive Steve Rogers fan, you guys know this, but he's literally the first Avenger. That's what his movie's called. Just the moment that you see in the picture here where he picks up Mjolnir in Endgame is nuts. The theater went crazy. I had chills. He's got some of the better quotes in the MCU, and of course his arc comes full circle. I think it's one of the best arcs in the MCU. A perfect send-off to the OG Avenger. Next we've got Captain Marvel, who again, I'm not a fan of her movie that much, and I think her character has a lot of room for improvement. I think Captain Marvel is much better in Endgame than she was in her own solo movie, and I think she's going to have a really crucial role moving forward in the MCU. Of course, in the Marvels, she could show up in Miss Marvel. I think I'm going to put her in the meh tier, but I think there's a lot of improvement to be there. I think that she has her moments to shine. She's obviously extremely powerful. Next, we've got Okoye, who's just such a badass Wakandan warrior. I'm going to put her in the good category, and the look on her face when T'Challa gets snapped away in Infinity War is heartbreaking. Next, we've got Drax, who I don't really like. I don't know if that's a hot take. I think his comedy misses the mark most of the time for me. He's good in the first Guardians movie. Ever since then, he's very much missed the mark. I'm going to put him in the meh category. Just not a big fan of Drax, to be honest. I think he's fine. He has few moments to shine, but the days of him being a badass warrior are way behind us. I feel like he's just become a walking, talking joke. Next, we have the Ancient One. I'm going to put her in the good tier. I think that she has a lot of awesome lines, and of course, her influence is is iconic. Even the scene she has in Endgame I enjoy quite a bit, so I'm going to go good with Ancient One. Next, we've got Doctor Strange, who I really love. I think this is one of the coolest characters in the MCU, not only from a power perspective, but just Stephen Strange. He's this narcissistic kind of asshole a la Tony Stark, but they're very much different characters, and seeing them butt heads in Infinity War is very cool. Strange is going to have a massive role moving forward with Spider-Man No Way Home and Multiverse of Madness. I will go best of the best just because of who I've already put up there. He's arguably even the most powerful of all the heroes on this list. Next, we've got Rhodey / War Machine, who I gotta go meh with him. And honestly, this would have been different had Terrence Howard played him throughout the entirety of the MCU. I love him in that first movie. But a lot of the comedy misses for me with Rhodey. He's just sidelined in most of the movies, and they try to make him such a prominent role moving forward. I know he's getting his own show. I don't know how I feel about that. Next is Rocket Raccoon, who I freaking love. I'm gonna go great with Rocket. He's probably my favorite member of all the Guardians. He's truly hilarious, and Bradley Cooper does such a good job voicing the character, I forget it's him most of the time. Plus, Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout is a freaking awesome ride at Avengers Campus, and he's kind of a scene stealer for that ride. Next, we've got Wasp, aka Hope Van Dyne. I love her relationship with Scott Lang. She's one of the more badass women in the MCU. Honestly, I'm gonna put Wasp in great. I think her future is bright. I think there's a lot of great moments to come with Wasp. I think she's one of the most underrated characters in the MCU. She doesn't get enough love. Next, we've got Jane Foster, who I'm gonna put in meh. Again, I think this will change after Thor Love and Thunder, but again, I don't think many people have been clamoring to see her again in the MCU, especially after Dark World when she was just kind of an annoying side character, so they haven't even shown her in so long in the MCU, so I'm interested to see how they bring her back in Love and Thunder. Next, we have Hank Pym, who of course is the OG Ant-Man in the MCU. Michael Douglas does a great job. Gotta go good with Hank Pym. He's the influence. Without him, we wouldn't have Ant-Man in the MCU, and I do like his cameo in Endgame quite a bit. Next is Happy Hogan. I love my boy Happy. I'm gonna go good with Happy. He's Tony Stark's right-hand man. He's kind of a mentor to Peter Parker in Far From Home. Jon Favreau is the OG director in the MCU. He directed Iron Man, so it's cool to see him have this prolonged role throughout the MCU. Love Happy Hogan, and he's gonna die in Spider-Man No Way Home, I think, and it's gonna rip all of our hearts out. Next, we've got Hawkeye, whose show comes out in only 2 months, which I am pretty stoked for. Hawkeye, as a character, I think has a lot of great moments, especially in Age of Ultron, when he inspires Wanda and says, if you walk out that door, you're an Avenger. That's one of the best lines in the MCU. I think seeing him as Ronin is also pretty tragic and heartbreaking, so because of that, I'm probably gonna have to go great with Hawkeye. I think that there's a lot of, oh, not up there, right there. Great with Hawkeye, just because, again, one of the original 6 Avengers. He has a really great arc so far, especially the opening of Endgame when we see his family get snapped away. I think his character will wrap up in a satisfying way in Hawkeye. He might retire, and then Kate Bishop will don the mantle of Hawkeye moving forward. Next, we've got Peggy Carter. I'm just talking about her in the movies. I haven't seen Agent Carter, so I can't really speak to that. But for Peggy, I'm gonna go good just because I think she's like one of the better love interests, and she's a badass woman, especially in the first Avenger. We see that with Steve. She's not afraid to stand her ground. I liked her What If episode as well, but it's my least favorite episode of What If. I'm going good with her, though. Next is Odin from the Thor movies, who I think Odin's influence is very strong, but again, I just have to go mad, just because we don't see him enough to really put him in the good tier. Anthony Hopkins is an absolute legend, there's no denying that, but Odin is just a meh character to me. I don't like really what they do with him in Ragnarok. I know he has that powerful final moment with his sons, but seeing Loki play him briefly was just kind of silly to me. Next, we have Heimdall, who just kind of watched over the Bifrost through most of the MCU, but in Ragnarok, he is a badass. Rest in peace, his death is tragic. As much as I want to put Heimdall in good, I have to go mad just because, again, he doesn't have that big of a role in the MCU. And I would love to put him in good, but then looking at it, I'm like, not every character is really that good. So he's kind of just meh, but I don't dislike him. Meh is not the worst thing ever. It's just like, they have some cool moments, but there was so much more potential for them in the MCU. That's basically what meh means. Next, we have Thor, the God of Thunder, who has to go in best of the best. Arguably, again, one of the more powerful Avengers. That'd be a fun ranking or debate video to have, but seeing him in this scene I have pictured here where he comes down on the bridge and Immigrant Song is playing, it's one of the most badass moments in the MCU, and of course, I like what they do with him in Endgame, seeing him put on a bunch of weight and kind of going through this depression as he has the weight of the world on his shoulders as he feels responsible for half of humanity getting snapped away because he didn't go for the head. I think it's great writing, and I think that Love and Thunder is going to be freaking awesome. Next, we have Phil Coulson, who I'm going to put in the good category. I like Coulson quite a bit. I think that his death is really powerful in Avengers. The way that he was able to unite the Avengers so they would come together and fight in the final battle in New York, it's really a powerful impact. I haven't seen Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I know that he has a role in that show, so maybe I'll watch it one day. Probably not. Next, we have Isaiah Bradley, who has a small role in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but I think they're going to explore more with Isaiah. That's why I put him on this list. Again, Isaiah is a really good character. I'm going to go ahead and put him there, and we are now in the double tier, we're too stacked for the good tier. Isaiah Bradley is a really good character, and the scene he has where he's talking about what it means to be Captain America in today's society is extremely powerful. One of the better acted scenes in the MCU. Next, we have Wanda Maximoff, who honestly I think is a little overrated, especially after WandaVision, but she does go through hell in the MCU, but a lot of characters do as well. I have to take my personal attachments and my personal experiences with WandaVision aside. I think she has one of the better arcs in the MCU, and I think WandaVision does flesh that out, so I do have to go great with her. She's not best of the best to me. Seeing her as a villain in the MCU could be awesome, because I know that's probably where they're going to go in Multiverse of Madness. That excites me. Next, we have Maria Hill, who I'm going to put in the meh category. Yet again, another meh kind of S.H.I.E.L.D. agent character that doesn't have a massive role, has a few memorable moments, but nothing to write home about. Next, we have Quicksilver, who as much as I want to put in the good category, I'm going to go meh with Quicksilver. Again, Quicksilver was in one movie in the MCU. He was like a villain turned hero kind of thing, just like both of the Maximoffs were. I really like Aaron Taylor Johnson in the role, and I think he has flashes of brilliance. I just think that he was killed off too quickly. Kind of like his name might imply. Wanda had so much more development after Age of Ultron. Quicksilver died after Age of Ultron. Next we have Jimmy Woo! I think this character is hilarious and the memes surrounding him are iconic, but at the end of the day, I just have to go good with Jimmy Woo. I think that there's a lot of cool moments. That little card trick he does, as you can see in the picture right there, is cool. Next we have Tom Holland Spider-Man in the MCU. And again, I don't care what anyone says, I gotta go best of the best. I think Tom Holland as Spider-Man is amazing. For a long time, I was Team Tom Holland for the best Spider-Man. And I still will support him forever. I think that he's awesome as Spider-Man. He goes through so much in the MCU. You compare it to the others, he doesn't go through as much, but he still has a lot he has to deal with, whether that's getting a freaking building dropped on him by Vulture, having to take down his homecoming date's dad is pretty intense as well. And then getting his entire identity revealed to the world is nuts too. So he goes through a lot of stuff. I think Tom Holland just is a perfect high school kid. He's very relatable as Peter Parker. Next we have Nebula, who again, I think this character might be on both hero and villains, but I'm probably just going to leave her on hero. Nebula's going in the good category, as most of the MCU characters are. They're just good characters. They're not great. They're not best of the best or amazing. They're just really just solid, good characters. And I think Nebula is that. We see her kind of in this villainous role in the first movie. She kind of comes of her own in Guardians 2. And of course, we see her in Endgame with Tony stranded in space. So I like what they do with her character, and then of course seeing her take down herself in Endgame. It's a pretty cool sequence the way that plays out, and again, I like that sisterhood relationship she has with Gamora. Next we have Ant-Man, who I freaking love. Paul Rudd, you're a god in my eyes. I gotta go great with Ant-Man. He's a hilarious character, and after Ant-Man 3, I honestly might go best of the best, but I kind of wanted to match Wasp because I feel like they're the perfect duo. They're both in the great category. Next we have Pepper Potts, or Rescue, as she does don the rescue suit, as you can see in this picture right here in Endgame. Pepper, again, is a good character. I think she's the perfect romantic interest for Tony Stark, and of course their relationship is heartbreaking when she finally says, "You can rest now." It's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry. Next we have Star-Lord, aka Peter Quill, who honestly, I know I put Rocket in great, and I know I said he might be my favorite of the Guardians, but at this very moment, I think I have to go best of the best with Peter Quill. He's just the king of cool in the MCU, honestly. The way he has his Walkman and the way we see him steal the orb in the first Guardians is one of the most memorable moments in the entirety of the MCU. He is freaking hilarious. Chris Pratt owns the role. Heartbreaking at times. I can't blame him for what he did in Infinity War. For example, if Cam died and then the person who killed Cam was right in front of me, I would probably lose my cool as well. Very human reaction, and plus, people who always get mad at him, they don't realize if they had got the gauntlet there would be no endgame. Think about it. Next, we have Mantis, who I'm putting in bad. First bad of the entire day, might be the only one. Mantis has annoyed me from the start. I know she's powerful and she can read minds, but sleep is the most impactful thing she has in the MCU. I'm sorry. Someone had to go in bad. It was Mantis. She's just not my favorite at all. Next, we have Nick Fury, who is a legend in the MCU. So Nick Fury's great. He's responsible for assembling the Avengers, and I really do love him in Captain Marvel. He's the highlight of Captain Marvel in my eyes. Next, we have Melina, who I'm going to go with Matt, and I think that she's just the weakest of the core 4 characters in Black Widow. Nothing really wrong with her, truly. She's just mad because she isn't really on screen, actually, for about the first hour and 15 minutes. And when she does come in, there's a cool little switcheroo they do in the movie. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. But Melina is still just mad to me. I like her character. I want to clarify that. I really do like her as a character. but she's just not good, great, or best of the best. She's just meh, and if I'm comparing her, she probably falls in line with the rest of the people I have in this category, so that's about right, I'd say. So if you guys are still watching, comment down below, hashtag MCU Heroes. But next up, we have Billy and Tommy from WandaVision, who I have to put in meh. I think Billy and Tommy are highly overrated. They really did not have their full potential shown in that show. I think they're coming back because, again, in the WandaVision post-credit scene, we hear their voices when Wanda is looking through the Darkhold. But at the end of the day, Billy and Tommy are just two characters who are like, they're the cute kids of Wanda and Vision, but they had so much more potential. Next, we have Sylvie, who's very much the most anti-hero I have on this list. Sylvie's a character that most people love. I don't love her. I think that she irritated the hell out of me in the end of Loki. But, you know, it's always been a little weird to me seeing her romance with Loki. They work better as a friendship. It's always kind of pressed me in a way. It's like, what the hell? It's irked me. That's the word I was looking for. I still think Sylvie's good, though. I'd probably put her in the good tier, just because, you know, she does have some really crazy moments. Her reveal is cool. We have to see more from her to truly put her in great or best of the best. Next, we have Iron Man, who's best of the best. Best character in the entire MCU, actually. The best character arc in movies lately. He goes from being this selfish, genius billionaire playboy philanthropist at the beginning to saving the world. And I love how there's that line where Cap says, "You're not the guy to make the sacrifice play," and then he does make the sacrifice play. Kind of bouncing off Cap earlier, they have the reversal of character arcs. Perfectly written. I don't know how they even could have done it any better. Next, we have Monica Rambeau, who I'm actually going to put in great. I freaking love Monica Rambeau. She was the scene stealer in WandaVision for me. I can't wait to see her in Miss Marvel and the Marvels. She is a badass woman who I think could take on Wanda if she gets a little bit stronger and kind of figures out her powers more. But yeah, I wanted to see more Monica in that show because she's freaking rocks. Next, we have Katie from Shang-Chi, who is like Shang-Chi's best friend, and they're honestly one of the best duos in Phase 4 of the MCU, if not the best. I'm actually going to say they are the best, but she's hilarious in this movie. Awkwafina really does crush it in the role, and I have to put Katie in great. As of right now, I really, really like Katie as a character. Seeing her get to like actually have an impact in the third act instead of just being this side character. She has a pretty big impact on the events of the third act of Shang-Chi, so shout out Katie. She rocks, and I really hope we get to see more Shang-Chi and Katie down the road. Next, we have Xia Ling, and forgive me if I pronounce the name wrong. It's the hardest one for me to pronounce. This is Shang-Chi's sister. I think she is awesome, and the way that she's able to kind of whip her little weapon around and kick some ass is pretty cool. But I'm just going to settle for good with her. I think that there are moments that are really good, but again, I don't like where they went with her by the end of the movie. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. Interested to see her role in the future of the MCU. Next, we have Shuri, who will probably be taking on the mantle of Black Panther moving forward. If I had to guess, again, I am not totally sure with that. But I'd say Shuri is another good character. I think we haven't seen a lot of her. We've barely seen her. She's in Black Panther. She has some funny lines there. And then she's obviously taking care of Vision in Infinity War. But again, apart from that, we haven't seen her much. She's been very much sidelined in the MCU. Her fullest potential has yet to be reached, and I think that we will get to see that as she maybe takes on the role of Black Panther moving forward. Next, we have Bucky Barnes, the one that Cam has been waiting for if she's watching. I think Bucky has one of the best character arcs in the MCU. I'm wearing the Falcon and Winter Soldier shirt right now. Think about it, though. This guy's just a soldier who's looking out for his friend, dies in battle, but he doesn't die. He gets captured, brainwashed for like 70 years, becomes a terrorist, and gets a robotic arm. None of this is his choice, by the way. And then he ends up coming back and has to deal with this PTSD after the events of Endgame. He's just a very damaged character who actually has a lot of charm and comedy to him. I think Sebastian Stan does great in the role. I'll be damned, I'm putting him in best of the best. This is a complete change in my character arc, just like his character arc. Because if you go back to my original tier ranking, I was not high on Bucky. That was before the Falcon and the Winter Soldier flipped the script on Bucky Barnes. I really love the character. Has Cam influenced me? Maybe, but for the better. I needed to have my eyes opened, and I am now a Bucky stan. Boom. Next, we have Janet Van Dyne, who I'm going to put in the meh category. This is the wife of Hank Pym, the mother of Hope Van Dyne. Again, haven't seen much from her in the MCU. I think she might actually end up dying, though, in Ant-Man 3. Next, we have Valkyrie, who is a badass character. I am just going to put her in the good tier, though, because I think that, again, potential hasn't been reached yet, and that happens, though. This is the thing about these tier lists. Bucky's and Sam's potential hadn't been reached, but now they're in best of the best. So if we get her in more in Thor: Love and Thunder, or if we even see her more in, say, her own TV show down the road, I'd be all here for it. But love her in Ragnarok, and then after that, we barely see her in Endgame or anything, so that's kind of the bummer, is she has one great performance and movie where we figure out her history as a Valkyrie and why she has kind of become this alcoholic who doesn't really want to associate with Asgard. Great character arc, but again, there's so much potential for her still. And as we wind down to the end, make sure to hit that like button again and comment down below if you're still watching. Hashtag Shang-Chi. Next, we have Korg, who is a freaking awesome side character in the MCU. Korg and Meek kind of together in this, honestly, but I'm Korg, that's Meek. Taika does a great job voicing him, and he is just such a funny scene stealer. I gotta go good with Korg. Not great, but good. I really do like Korg quite a bit. I hope they never kill Korg. And honestly, give us a Korg and Deadpool show, because them reacting to the trailer for Free Guy was awesome. Next, we have Vision. Which iteration of Vision am I talking about? You make that decision. There's about 15 at this point in the MCU. But honestly, I'm going to put Vision in good, and I know that's, oh my gosh, hot take, right? Vision's just a good character to me, though. I think that there have been so many iterations of him, and he's kind of the same character throughout. He's just a kind of robotic presence played by Paul Bettany. They try to characterize him and humanize him, obviously, in WandaVision, and the romance works, but, like, he dies yet again. How many times are they going to kill him? They've honestly killed him so much that it's a meaningless death each time we see him continue to die. That's the unfortunate part about Vision. I think his character needs to stay dead. I don't know what the role of White Vision is going to be moving forward. And last, but certainly not least, is going to be Yelena Belova from Black Widow, who is the future of the MCU. Florence Pugh supremacy. Yelena steals the movie. I freaking love her. I'm going to go great right now. So something just popped up weird on my computer, but I have the Yelena character right here in bad, now meh, now bad, now meh. Honestly, I have to go great with Yelena. I think she is going to be the future. She's going to be in Hawkeye, which I'm stoked for. And her relationship with Nat is heartbreaking. The way that she obviously passed the vest on to Nat was really cool to see. And the post-credit scene of Black Widow was really sad as well. The influence Nat had on her life really does say a lot. I think she's going to be here to stay in the MCU. She's going to be one of the main players. And sign me up, I'm a Yelena stan. So that's going to do it for my tier ranking of every MCU hero. There were like 59, I want to say. It was an absurd amount. Thank you all so much if you made it to the end of this video. It really does mean a lot. Hitting that like button will help out quite a bit. And again, comment your ranking of the heroes down below. Who's your favorite, least favorite, all that good stuff. Where do you place the Shang-Chi and Black Widow characters and the TV show characters? Let's talk about that in the comments. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss out on my future MCU videos. I should have a villains tier ranking coming out later. MCU origin movies ranked the next day. And of course, check out all my Shang-Chi content and MCU ranking that was posted yesterday. Enjoy your weekend, everyone. Go see Shang-Chi multiple times. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.